but I don't have a brand. But the reality is you actually do have a brand, whether you realize it or not. Someone might say, oh, John's funny, or oh, John's a character, or he's a nice guy, or whatever, right? So people have a certain brand image about you, whether you realize it or not. If somebody brings up your name and they know you really well, sort of an image and a persona pops into their head when they think about you. It is a little confusing, and you do have to clarify your identity, and you just have to take time to think about it. But a brand identity is everything. If nobody knows what your brand identity is, and you don't know what your brand identity is, it's going to be very difficult to follow you. You got to stand for something, not for everything, right? So that's the idea. So I'm going to dig into this a little bit in more detail to try to help you understand what we're talking about. Let's start with the introduction to the brand identity. What is a brand identity? It's a collection of all the elements that a company or person creates to portray the right image, personality of your business, right? So you have to think about the elements of your identity as a person, right? And think about what you stand for, what people say about you. Are you funny? Are you serious? Are you political? Are you intellectual? Are you philosophical? Those kinds of things. And think about the things that interest you. Like if you're not interested in politics and you're not interested in philosophy, don't force yourself to do that. Think about the things that you naturally are interested in, the things that you naturally talk about, the stuff that you're passionate about, whatever makes you light up. That's a pretty good place to start, right? And start making a log and writing it down and trying to figure out what those things are. There's components to a brand identity. Everything from a logo to color palette to typography, imagery, messaging. I love to use In-N-Out as an example, being that we're from California. In-N-Out's all over the place. It's a favorite out here, but it's very simple and clear to follow, right? It's red and white. They make cheeseburgers, French fries, and shakes. That's it. They don't do anything else. They don't start making croissants. They don't start making cupcakes. They just stick to their thing, and that's their thing. And you can see it from far away, right? It's very simple and easy to follow, and they thought that through, and that's what you should do too. You should think about the clarity of your logo, your presentation, your color. What colors do you like? You like purple, you like black. What kind of aesthetic you like in your camera? Like, we like a darker aesthetic. I always tell people I want our place to look like Bruce Wayne's Batcave, but that's what we're into. That's our style. We've had a client that came in before and she's like, I like lighter colors. I like earthier colors, and that's great. You got to kind of clarify what that is for you. Don't keep it in your head. Try to write it down and think about it. Core values, guys. Core values are so important. And that's moving into, what do you actually stand for? As they say, you can't stand for everything. You got to stand for something. Don't be afraid. You have to actually stand for something. And that word comes out, polarizing. When you're polarizing, it means there's going to be a bunch of people over here that don't like what you stand for, but then you're going to have a whole crowd of people that do like what you stand for, and they're going to follow you, and they'll follow you no matter where you go. You'll start to build trust with your audience. They'll start to believe what you believe in. There's always going to be someone that believes in what you believe in and stands what you stand for, but you have to think about what that is. You don't have to go political, but you got to stand for something. What do you stand for? What do you believe in? What values do you value? Do you value integrity, courage, accountability, industriousness, hard work? What do you stand for? Think about those things, drive it forward, and set up material based on those topics, right? And then keep in mind, guys, tagline, brand value, and key messaging. Once you get clarity on your values, it's easier to be more clear and concise about these things. Your taglines in your messaging on your videos, in other words, right? Or your posts, your brand value, those are your values. You're bringing them out in your video, in your posts, in your messaging, in your text, whether you're on X, you're writing a blog, you're talking to someone, you're on a podcast. You got to think about your messaging and make sure that you stand for something and it's super clear. If you get invited on a podcast and people start asking you questions and you can't answer because you don't have a clear purpose or a clear identity, you don't know where you're going and you don't know what to think from one time to the next, then your audience is going to get confused. They're not going to know who you are. They're not going to know what you stand for. So be really clear. Like I always tell people, I'm honest. I stand for certain stuff. I piss people off. I know I do, but it's okay. And people also like me, and there's not really anything I could do about that. I got to stand for something. I got to stand tall and walk through life and just be who I am. But I'm super comfortable with who I am because I'm clear about what I stand for, and I move forward no matter what. Relentless pursuit of whatever it is I'm pursuing in life, and that's what you have to do too. Choosing your brand's visual elements. Well, now, this is something we're really into at Dorothy House. We think visual elements are super important here, and we really value those elements. We put a lot of time, energy into our aesthetic, the visual elements. We tell our clients, think about your content and your media in terms of a movie. And because it is, your life's a movie, right? We're all on camera, we're all on social now. So for me, I'm like, I want to make my movie as good as it possibly can be, and I want it to have the best aesthetic that it could possibly have. I want people to stay in my movie and watch it. And I'm also thinking about the legacy, because the videos stay forever. After I die, long after I die, my family, my kids, my friends, they can consume my material, my content, because it's there forever, right? So I want to make sure that I put everything I have into that video and make sure that I give as much value as possible in that video. So long after I'm gone, somebody's reaping the benefit from that. And again, one point that I want to bring up is that your sole purpose is to bring value to the person on the other side of the screen. That is the single most important thing that you can possibly do, and what you should always be thinking about when you're on video. There's nothing more important than that, because what's the point? If you're not bringing value to someone, why are you doing it? And people are going to feel it. If you're on video to take something from someone, or you're on social to take something from someone, they're going to feel it. So this world that we live in, this social world, this social sphere that we live in, is about bringing value and going direct to the consumer. We live in a direct-to-consumer world. So you have the opportunity and the ability to go from you to the consumer. You don't have to go through all these roadblocks now and go through all this mess. You can get right to people, right into their homes and right into their hearts, quite frankly, and that's exactly what you should do. So that's everything from logo to color palette to typography to imagery. I mean, really think about this stuff, guys. Like, our brands that we have, Dorothy House, I tell people this story all the time. The reason why it's called Dorothy House is because when you go to someone's house, you come inside, you have a cup of coffee, you sit down, you have a chat. When you go to an agency, you sit in the lobby and you drink a cold water. If you're lucky, you might not even get water. You're waiting in a cold waiting room waiting for someone to let you in. When you go to someone's house, you come in. So we wanted to make sure that people, when they work with us, they feel like they're coming into a home, they have a warm feeling, and they want to come back, or they never want to leave. People tell us that all the time. Our landlord tells us, man, this place is great. We never want to leave. And that's what we want. We want to give people an amazing experience that they can't find anywhere else. And that's important to us, and that's something that we think about. And then we have another company that I named after my mom, 55 Rows. That's our music side of our company, and the music production portion of what we do, the audio portion. We named it 55 Rows. So my mom was born in 1955. Her name was Rose. So it means something. It has a lot of meaning to us, to me in particular. My mom was a big part of my life. She passed away in 2021. So every time I think about that name, it means something to me, and it has a lot of value. Plus, it's super cool, and it has a certain style, and I think people go, oh, that's John's style at this point. Like, oh, that's very John, you know? And that's where you want to get. You want to have a certain style and a certain aesthetic and be sort of known for something. Like when you make a film, if you had a script, if you went to Tim Burton, he's going to make your film one way. If you went to Michael Mann, he's going to make your film another way. If you went to Steven Spielberg, and on it goes. So you got to stand for something. You have to have a certain aesthetic. You got to think about your logo, and it should speak to who you are. It's very important. Unique brand identity. Unique, which means like you're not like everybody else, okay? We live in the world right now where everybody's following each other. There's nothing unique. Nothing. People are looking on the phone going, what is everybody doing right now? That isn't how you should be thinking. You should be thinking about, who am I? What do I stand for? What are my values? What do I actually like? This is what I love about kids. They tell you fast. What's your favorite color? Purple, pink. Do you like this? No, I don't like this. Do you like that? Yeah, I like this. Kids have no problem being honest with you and telling you right to your face what they like and what they don't like. It's not personal. It's that they haven't been corrupted by life yet, right? When they're 4 years old or 5 years old, they're exuberant and they're bursting with whatever it is they feel at any given moment. They don't care, and that's where you got to get. You got to get there. So in essence, what I'm saying is find your childlike self, rediscover that, and that's probably good. That's where you're going to find the uniqueness. Remember what it was like to be a child, who you are, what you were as a child. If you had no limitations at all, be unique, be remarkable. Like Seth Godin says, be remarkable, be a purple cow, stand out, focus on being remarkable. That should be the focus, which is if you're remarkable, then you're adding value to your community. Then it's easy, it's seamless because your community knows that you actually care and you're trying to help them. So be unique, please. Entrepreneurs, which is the people that we work with primarily here at Dorothy House. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm artistic. I definitely have an artistic side to me, but at the core, I'm an entrepreneur. I think about business all the time. I understand the pains of an entrepreneur. I understand the volatility of having a business, the ups and downs. It's not always great. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's good. If people only knew. I know there's a lot of glamour put around it right now, but it ain't easy to have your own business, to be an entrepreneur. It is tough. And sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Implementing your brand identity is crucial even for an entrepreneur. Not just, I mean, for anyone, no matter what you're doing. If you have a product or a service, whatever your offering is, you have to be thinking about your brand identity. It has to be super clear across all marketing materials and all efforts. Your business card, your website, your social media platforms, your packaging, whatever you send out letters, you send out newsletters, whatever it is. If it's clear in the beginning, and as it spreads, it has to be clear, small little idea, tiny idea. Get it super crystal clear, and then as it spreads, it'll be clear across all channels and across all platforms and everywhere you are, and that's what you want. Be consistent, guys. Please be consistent. Don't be here, there, and everywhere. Don't do 100 things and have 100 ideas because nobody's ever gonna follow you. That's the problem. You have to be super, super clear and niche. They say riches are in the niches, and it's true. Evolve your brand identity. Your brand identity is naturally going to evolve as your business grows, and you want to make sure that it's clear and you don't have to go back and fix a bunch of stuff, right? Listen to your customers. We listen to our customers all the time. Keep an eye on the market trends, but don't bend into whatever's popular. If you stand for something and that thing, whatever it is, the trend or whatever the flavor of the day is, doesn't align with your core values and what you believe in, do not bend into it just because it's popular. That's the whole point. You got to stand for something. And if you see something going on and you're like, that's not really my thing, then don't participate in it. You got to stand for something. That's the whole point. So get clear first, stand for something so you don't fall into a pit, right? Constantly review and refresh and make it better and better as time goes on. And give yourself permission to change. Like, for me, everything was black. I only wanted black shirts, black everything, black notebooks, black everything, right? One day I woke up and I was like, I think I'm feeling green. I think I'm feeling like I want to allow green in my life, right? So I use these particular binders to do my personal strategic planning, my goal setting, and everything else. I use the black moleskin binders. I've been using them forever. And I decided, I said, you know what? I'm going to start doing green because it's making me feel good. I felt it was making me feel like healing. So I'm going to start manufacturing those and giving them away and probably selling them at some point to my audience, right? And I'm going to start helping people with personal strategic planning and goal setting because it's something I'm very familiar with. And I want to help people. And that's my whole goal. So I hope this helped you how to develop a unique brand identity. It's an essential guide for entrepreneurs. And I will be making these available in a downloadable document on my website very soon. But I'm doing about 10 of these videos to help you deal with a lot of the questions that we get with a lot of the customers that call us, which is they're just confused. They don't know where to start, no matter what level they're at. We have entrepreneurs making $100 million a year, and people that are just starting out. There's an answer for no matter where you're at in the process, but you got to get started. You don't need to have a bunch of money to get started, but you have to have a plan. You have to have a clear plan. You have to have a clear and unique brand identity before you start. Start with that. Doesn't cost you any money to take out a pen and a piece of paper and figure this stuff out first before you go out to the world. So thank you, and stay tuned for more.